Are you tired of charging up your slime sling just to overshoot your target? Having to wait for a bounce to completely end before you can accurately lunge yourself again? And are you just sick and tired of the slime sling not having any kind of control on your direction or the power of your lunges and ending up with this just constant bounce that you have to wait out? Then toss that thing out and get yourself a longsword, the proper equipment that you should be using with your slime boots. And with just a little bit of practice, you too can be floating like a butterfly and stinging like a bee thanks to the maximum control that the longsword has to offer. So the slime sling tends to be a very popular choice for, early game travel. Once you get the slime boots and everything, it does tend to be very popular. And of course the slime sling, if you don't know, you can pull it back and then aim it at the ground and launch yourself up. And then of course you can also aim it at like a diagonal. If I wanted to travel like across the room here, I could do like that and move around. But the longsword, where the slime sling has a lot of like really raw power but no controllability, the longsword is fairly strong, once you get used to it, but it does have maximum controllability. Now you can combo the slime sling, get your initial start with the slime sling and then switch over to the longsword and have that controllability if you want to. But this video I'm primarily going to be covering some tips and tricks and everything regarding the longsword itself. So first up, actually using the longsword, of course, it's a Tinker's Construct weapon, and you can use it to lunge at enemies and smack them, and you'll actually get a damage increase. But in addition, you can also use this for awesome travel. It's my personal favorite, and I think a lot of people either overlook it, underestimate it, or just don't know about it. So that's why I wanted to do the video. What you'll do is you'll hold right click to charge it up, and then what you can do is you can just jump and boost and you'll start bouncing. So for example, if I was to just do like a normal lunge, I don't bounce. If I jump, I don't bounce. But the longsword will, if you're mid jump, it's going to boost you up a little bit and cause that jump effect, which is what you want. Now for maximum height, you do have to kind of build up the longsword. Usually about 4 or 5, well-timed jumps is going to get you to maximum height, maximum speed, all that good stuff. So whenever you're using the longsword, you need to, if you want to build up that height and get that perfect timing in, you need to release your lunge right after hitting the ground. So for example, right now, if I jump now, like that, and that's going to, if you notice, I start jumping higher and higher with each subsequent jump. And probably here in a second, I will reach the ceiling. And you don't actually have to face the ground. You can face in any direction, and it's going to lunge you in that direction. If you face straight down, it's going to do just a straight vertical jump. But if you lunge off in a direction, you're still going to get that height increase, but it's going to send you off in that direction. Now another nice feature that I personally love, and I think a lot of people don't realize it's there, if you've used the slime sling a lot, you'll know that after you do your jump and you get to wherever you're going, you have that really long bounce period where you're just bouncing and you're trying to, you can hold shift. If I'm bouncing, I can hold shift and I'll hit the ground. I'll take a little bit of damage when that happens. And a lot of times with the slime sling, you'll have 10 bounces or something before you finally come to a stop on the ground, unless you hold shift and just accept that damage. And so for the quick stop, basically it's good for a situation like this. I've got to where I want to go, but I've still got this really high bounce height. I don't want to hold shift and take a bunch of damage, but in addition, I don't want to wait for that bounce time because it is, it does add up when you're sitting there and waiting all the time for the bounce to stop. So what you can do is right before you hit the ground, release your longsword, then release it again, just like that. And after that first bounce, you will stop. Now it may take some practice. That's one thing I will say is the longsword, unlike the slime sling, I think people can pick that up really quick. But to get really proficient with the longsword, I feel like it takes a little bit more practice because it's all about angled releases. It's all about timed releases. And there's a whole lot that you can do with it once you get proficient with it. And of course you can also, fight while you're doing it. Once you get good at aiming, you can melee with it, and then you still get the lunge benefit with the damage. So if you're fighting something like the Wither and you jump up to it and you hit it, you have that lunge effect in, active. And you also, have that height advantage, so you can get in and melee him or something like that. If you're having issues with that, because of course at half health he becomes immune to, range damage and everything. Now also when you find yourself in water, you're swimming across an ocean or something like that, or you get caught in water in any situation. Of course, the slime slaying at this point is totally useless. However, the longsword can be used to move yourself through the water a bit quicker as well. So, getting across this lake, all you do is charge up your longsword and just release. It does help if you release right as you top out of the water. You'll get a little bit farther with that. And it is just another handy feature of the longsword. Now another nice thing is you can actually get a little bit higher. The longsword itself, you're going to max out, if you just keep jumping like this, you're going to max out usually at around 20 to 25 blocks. If your timing is spot on, like you'll notice right there, I got really, really high. That is releasing right as I hit that ground. But another thing you can do, just keep in mind that the longsword, you can utilize its lunge midair. So for example, if I release right here, I can charge it up and then I can boost in a direction. So if I had like a vertical height and say I was trying to top like a spot in a mountain. So for example, like this bridge here, I can't lunge into that, directionally. Now I could, just move forward. You do have a lot of control with the longsword, but depending on the jump, sometimes that's hard to do. So one thing you can do is build your height up and then lunge forward, and you're going to bounce, onto that spot. So just keep in mind that your longsword can be used to lunge even midair. And if you want a couple blocks additional on top of, once you reach the maximum longsword height, say you're just about there, but you can't quite make it, you can release the longsword midair and get a little bit higher. It's about 2 to 3 blocks, depending on how precise your timing is to the actual, peak of your height. Lunging up is definitely your best bet. That's how you're going to really get that 2 to 3 block range, because you do get a little bit higher altitude whenever you lunge up than whenever you lunge down. You could also, lunge up to build up your height. It's a lot quicker when you look down to do it. And I'm sure you guys have probably seen me. If you've ever watched my streams, you've probably noticed I do this a lot, where I will do wall rides, I guess. This is kind of what I call them. This is an example of the precision that you can get with the longsword. And right back there, if you noticed, I overjumped, but I was able to basically redirect myself midair and manage to land on that wall. So that's another thing. I mean, the longsword, especially when you're traveling, I use the longsword for traveling in the nether so much. But, sometimes you have to redirect yourself, and you need the control. Like the slime sling, you can't really use that very effectively in the nether a lot of times because you don't have that control, and, there's lava and stuff everywhere. But as you notice, as I jump around this, I can get perfect landings with the longsword fairly easy. So for example, let's heat things up just a little bit here. And so we're in the nether. So for example, right here, right there, I kind of held off on the charge. And that's because I didn't need the horizontal height right there because of the overhang. But if you kind of wait to use your lunge and do it right at your peak height, you're going to get more of a horizontal lunge than a vertical lunge. So it is handy for kind of speeding up your travel if you don't need that vertical height. You will lose a little bit of vertical height whenever you do that. But for a situation like that, I don't really need that vertical height. And it really is like early game flight. Once you get proficient with the longsword. And the only real major downside whenever you're using longsword is you will notice that your hunger tends to build up fairly quickly, but for the amount of distance that you can travel, it's not You know, it's not a major downside, realistically. And like right there, I was able to make that. I was about to miss that jump, but I was able to boost just a little bit farther with the longsword, because like with the vertical boost jump that I mentioned earlier, where you can kind of boost at the peak of your jump, an additional time, you can also use that horizontally to get yourself a little bit more distance, you know, to make jumps that you wouldn't normally be able to make or something like that. And like I said, I mean, it will take some practice. I know I was trying to teach Sheridan how to use it not too long ago, and I know he was having some issues with it. So, and I know I had a lot of questions about, you know, how to use it and the control of it and everything like that. So that's why I wanted to put this quick video out. Just keep in mind that if you want the highest vertical, you're going to want to aim more, you know, towards the ground. If you want the highest horizontal, you'll aim straight forward. If you want to start slowing yourself down, you're going to aim up. And the angles in between those, of course, are combinations. So a lot of times you'll see me kind of do it like at this angle right here. That's so that I have about equal parts vertical and horizontal distance. It tends to be good for traveling in general purpose, but if you're wanting to get on top of something, you can quickly, you know, have that bounce down and kind of get yourself up there. And if you're just traveling like this, of course, you could use the horizontal boost to help yourself move around a little bit quicker. And I'll also say that ghasts, as you saw right there, they're no issue whatsoever once you're good with the longsword. And just keep in mind that you have that nice quick stop available to you as well, so you don't have to wait on that bounce. You know, don't go straight to the nether and be like, okay, time to practice with the longsword, because you may die. But you know, just give it a fair bit of time, and I promise you that you will grow to absolutely love the longsword over the slime sling. Like, you really will. Just because the added control feature will allow you to do things that you can't normally do with the slime sling. You know, you can't jump over lava onto a one block area with the slime sling very effectively, but with the longsword, you can see that it's not a problem whatsoever. So, anyways, I hope this helped you guys, for those of you that were having questions and difficulties with it and everything. And if this video helped you out in some way, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already, to stay up to date whenever I release new videos and everything. And of course, if you guys have any additional questions on the use of the longsword, you know, be sure and leave them down there in the comments section, and I will do my best to get back to you ASAP. And like I said, you know, grab yourself a longsword, give it some practice, and I guarantee that you'll be hooked on it, and you won't want to go back to the slime sling. I can promise you that.